Hi everybody, I am Francisco Gil-White in a joint program between More and Arutz Tov, and I have here with me as our guest Ilan Tsion. Thank you for joining us, Ilan.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. And I understand that you have been presenting some interesting arguments about the Supreme Court of Israel and the controversies surrounding the Supreme Court, which have been so divisive for Israeli society. And my audience in More doesn't really have too much of an understanding of what these controversies have been about. So if you would be so kind, I would like to ask you first to give us a quick historical recap of what Aaron Barak and others in the top of the legal structure of Israel have done over the years to sort of change the power of the Supreme Court. Could you explain that to us?
Well, I'll try, because it's quite complicated, this notion. Well, let's say that the idea of Aaron Barak, which was the head of the Supreme Court for many years, is that Israel is not anymore a Zionist country. This is something that should be understood.
What does he mean?
Well, he called that, there's a name for that. This is a country or state of all its citizens. This means that all the citizens of Israel are really totally equal, even though this country was formed as a state for the Jews, in order to run away from all the Holocaust and everything. So, although Israel fought for its independence and really many people sacrificed their lives for that, came Aaron Barak and said, well, this is not a Zionist country anymore. This is a state of all its citizens, and this means total equality, and this means many, many things. Now, the real issue with Aaron Barak, that he really invented the Supreme Court in his form. He gave the Supreme Court its DNA. Now, the Supreme Court is like a machine now, which just like it's a group, a machine that just makes these ideas true. Come true, and because of that, you can see many decisions of the Supreme Court, like letting Muslims enter Israel, changing the demographic balance against the Jews. Now the situation becomes very, very, very dangerous because of that. And this is something that you cannot fight, because it seems like something that's really true, and you cannot really, because the Supreme Court says that. So this is like the legal truth, okay? But it's not.
So if I understand you correctly, the situation that Aaron Barak has created is one where legal truth is sort of created by his opinion? Is that what you're saying?
That's exactly the situation. This is like, let's say, like in Islam, Muhammad. Muhammad in Islam is like Aaron Barak in the Israeli legal system. It's exactly, he gave them the DNA, because he's such a charismatic and powerful person, and he was admired really by the judges themselves. So he just wrote a lot of verdicts, things like that, which says this notions, explain these notions, and everybody took them, and that became a part of the Israel legal truth. Now everything is according to that. Now another thing he made.
Wait, hold on. Yeah. Just before we go there, I'd like to understand the difference, because we have a Supreme Court in Mexico, there's a Supreme Court in the United States, and I'm somewhat familiar with how those work. What happens there is you may have a legal controversy, right? So you have two sides with two different interpretations of what the Constitution is supposed to be saying. And so if the controversy cannot be resolved in the lower courts, it goes all the way up to the Supreme Court, and then the Supreme Court agrees to hear the case, and then the judges in the Supreme Court analyze the controversy, they hear the arguments on both sides, and then they decide who is right. And once they make that decision, then that becomes law. Right? Well, in Mexico, you need several decisions in the same direction for it to become jurisprudence, for it to become new law. But you need that process of controversy and comparing to the Constitution so that the Supreme Court can make new law. What happens here?
In Israel, the Supreme Court is much, much, much stronger than the Supreme Court in Mexico or in the United States. It is so powerful that it became the sovereign now. what happened is that the Supreme Court just stripped the parliament and the government from all its powers. Now all the powers lay in the hands now of the judges. They have some kind of, they call it, there is a post in Israel called the legal advisor of the government. But the legal advisor of the government is not a legal advisor. It's like a legal dictator.
I see.
Which dictates beforehand what the judges want the government and the parliament to do. Okay, it's unbelievable. There is no law now in Israel which can be passed without the authorization of this legal advisor. So it's unbelievable. Israel is a dictatorship, a legal dictatorship.
So the legal advice. So if the Knesset creates a new law, the legal advisor to the government will decide whether the law is valid or not?
Yeah, if it can be passed, not valid. If it even can be passed.
If it can be voted on.
Yeah, voted on. And now, and in the end, if it's possible for the Supreme Court to abolish the law again after it's passed. Now, the Supreme Court also took the powers to change the Constitution as he wants. Now, the power to write the Constitution is in the hands of the Supreme Court. It's unbelievable.
But does Israel have a constitution then?
No, Israel doesn't have a constitution, but still, everybody speak about constitution.
So what is that?
Constitution is something that they're called let's call basic laws. I know the exact word in English. Basic law. The basic law are stronger than normal laws. And the Supreme Court can abolish even basic laws. Before he couldn't do that. Because of Aaron Barak and his, let's say, revolution, legal revolution, when he took all the powers from the government and the parliament, now the power is in their hands to abolish any law, any constitutional law. It doesn't matter. So, and even they can intervene in the elections. Okay, for example, they can decide whether a person can run if for example he has some kind of indictment or something. They can go and decide maybe that he wouldn't run for office. Anything. They can fire any minister. Everything. All the powers are in their hands. Okay, through this legal advisor. Yeah.
All the powers are in their hands because they have the power to interpret that what the prime minister is doing or what the Knesset doing is not allowed. Right?
Yeah, but they took it to another level.
Okay.
They can interpret through interpretation.
Yeah.
They can rule anything, and even they really govern directly the police. Let's say the CIA, the Israeli CIA, and even the army, they are governing them directly. I mean, these people needs to. I mean, even these people, like the head of staff and everything, they see the Supreme Court as the real leader, the real sovereign here. So this is what happens, and in many years, like in the last 20 years now, you can see all this fighting. This is just because of that. All this demonstration and everything was just because the government wanted to do some minor change.
Okay.
And because of that, the judges say to their public, hey, go outside. Right? This is not acceptable. And now everybody in the streets are fighting, even against this minor change, because the real thing in Israel is that it's governed by the Supreme Court.
Okay. I think I'm understanding, and I would like to tell you how I'm understanding this so that we can check whether I got it.
Okay.
It sounds to me like what is happening in Israel is that the Supreme Court is now writing basic laws, and therefore the Supreme Court is actually making the Constitution. They're ruling on the Constitution, but also writing it. So in fact, the Supreme Court is legislating.
Exactly.
Would that be true? Would that be the right description?
100% true.
Interesting.
This is appalling.
So would it be correct to say that all power now lies in the ideology of the Supreme Court judges?
That's right, and really in the ideology of Aaron Barak, because it's very important to understand that the judges themselves of the Supreme Court might be Zionists, okay? Might be, yeah? I'm not saying that they're not Zionists, But Aaron Barak was not Zionist, and it doesn't matter what are the personal views, what are their personal views, because the Supreme Court is like a group. The group has its own DNA. Not one judge can change this DNA. Even you and I became judges of the Supreme Court. We really cannot change anything, because this is a group that has has its own characteristics. Now, and its characteristics are anti-Zionist. They are saying.
What does that mean, anti-Zionist, for an Israeli? What does that mean?
This means that, for example, the Supreme Court or the courts will let almost every person becoming a citizen of Israel, even though he's not Jewish. Now, every reasonable person understands that if you change the demographic balance and you'll have like 50% more of Muslims, you're dead. Very, very simple. You're dead, okay? Now, in order to survive as Jews, because Jews are very nice people, mild, they're not really violent, but Muslims are different, okay? They are much more they're much stronger and have this belief in their ideas. I'm not speaking about bad or not bad. I'm speaking about just the real characteristics. They are much stronger than any society, not only the Jewish society.
Well, I think when you say strong, you mean violent. Is that what you mean?
No, not only. I think that the Muslims are very, very strong. I mean, because
what does that mean?
Because for example, let me give you an example. If you send like 1,000 Muslims into a European country, okay, and wait like 100 years. Now these people would become like, I don't know, maybe 200,000 people. I don't know how many, but if you'll check, you'll see that they're not going to mingle in the society, and they're not going to be changed. They won't change into Christians, for example.
Okay.
The real option is that the Christians will become Muslims, but would not go. This is what I mean by the word strong. I mean. So, this is why in every culture that Muslims enter, they form let's say groups. Yeah. Those groups are very, very strong. Also, they are violent because they believe really strongly in the ideas of Islam, which are violent ideas.
Jihad is a central concept.
Yeah. I'm not speaking about right, wrong. This is about survival of groups.
But why can't we say that jihad is wrong?
No, I don't think this is the right language. I'll tell you why. Because I'm just speaking from a natural point of view of survival. Okay, if you look at the groups like groups of survival, yeah, in this let's say from this angle. So the question is, who survives the best? Now, if you look like Muslim became from the 7th century until today, it became from 1 person to 2 billion person almost, and becoming it's expanding all the time. And if you look at Judaism, which is more than 3,000 years ago, we are like 15 million people. So, and Christianity is much stronger than Judaism, but still it's weaker than Islam. This is why
I think there are different ways of talking about strength, because it is also true. I mean, those numbers you reported are correct, but it's also true that if you go back, say, 2,500 years, there were many different cultures living in the planet at the same time as the ancient Jews. And most of those cultures have now disappeared, and the Jews are still here. So that's another measure of strength. So from that point,
I think it's the same measure of scale, because you can look at it in the same scale. I'm not saying that Judaism is the weakest, because there are other cultures which were weak, even weaker.
I see what you're saying.
But if you look at monotheism, monotheism is something that Judaism invented. And from that came out the Christianity. Christians are really Jews, really. And Muslims are not Jewish or Christians. They are different, but still they build their religion upon the same principles.
So let me bring it back to Aaron Barak. So if I understand you correctly, correct me if I'm wrong, you are saying that Aaron Barak believes that it would be okay for the state of Israel to become a Muslim country.
Of course.
I see.
Yeah. He's like, this is something that he would not say, but this is something that comes out.
It's a conclusion of what he's done.
From hundreds of steps he has taken. Okay,
Right.
so So he wouldn't admit that, but of course this is his notion. No question about that.
I see. Okay, so now allow me to understand something, because you describe Aaron Barak as a leftist and as an anti-Zionist.
I'm not saying I don't like the word leftist exactly.
No? Okay.
Because.
But would you say he agrees more with the left or with the right? Where would you put him?
Well, he's based on the left. The left agrees with him, but the left, the Israeli left, let's say that the main bloc of the Israeli left, do not really understand who is Aaron Barak.
Oh, okay. So he has duped them, is what you would say.
Again?
He has duped them. He has
He's like cheated them.
Cheated them.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, of course. If anybody from the left hears me, you wouldn't believe. So, it's not a problem. Yeah, no, it's not. But if you look at the facts, he will have to he wouldn't admit it anyway.
Okay, so it would be fair to say, in your opinion, that even though Aaron Barak has fooled many people on the left, you would agree that the left accepts him as one of their own.
Of course, of course.
Okay.
And follow him like a herd.
Okay, so the left follows Aaron Barak, they accept him as one of their own. He is an anti-Zionist. But Israel, for many years now, has been governed by people who say they belong to the right. So my question is, what have these people, and in particular Benjamin Netanyahu, done over these years to stop Aaron Barak from what he's doing? Or is there nothing they can do? I mean,
first of all, you have great questions, I must say, and really deep questions. And the answer, is going to be shocking.
Okay.
I'm saying all the time that Benjamin Netanyahu is cooperating with Aaron Barak.
I see.
Okay, but from the other side, these two people really govern both blocks. Okay. Benjamin Netanyahu is the head of the right bloc. He has a great power because being the leader of the right bloc, and Aaron Barak is really leading the left bloc. Okay, but still Aaron Barak is not really lefty, and of course Benjamin Netanyahu is not really from the right.
Okay.
Aaron Barak, if you see what Benjamin Netanyahu said many years over, he said over and over again. Adopted ideas of the extreme left. Okay, I think that Benjamin Netanyahu is an extremist of the left. Okay, now the point is, and this is very interesting, the groups, the two blocks, follow the leaders to any place they will take. Okay, they will take them any place. Okay, now this is very funny because we have in the right very people that looks extreme to the right, but they are following someone who is adopting all the time very lefty, extremist lefty ideas. Okay, one of them, for example, is the idea that you can release all the terrorists for one soldier. For example, this is an idea that 50 years ago, in the 1970s, even the left or the extreme left didn't even think about that. Okay,
it was unthinkable.
Unthinkable at all, and this is because it was a non-legitimate idea at that time. I lived that era, so I know. So now everybody thinks, well, that's great. Let's release all the terrorists. Okay, anytime they take one hostage or some hostages. This is how Israel is acting now, and this is unbelievable. You cannot really survive in this area or anywhere in the place. I'm sure that in the United States, no one would think like that. If you look now at Trump, for example, Trump really don't understand if it's possible. Well, it really, because even the Democrats in the United States wouldn't even think about releasing terrorists because of hostage or anything. And any country in the world wouldn't agree with that. But in Israel society, that should be the strongest in order to survive in this place, because we're 7 million Jews that are, circumferent by 500 million Muslims really want to slaughter us. You cannot act like that. And this is what our leaders taking us to.
In other words, Israel is projecting an image of weakness when it participates in these...
Weakness. Israeli society is projecting an image of weakness, a real weakness all the time.
That's very dangerous.
Very, very dangerous. Very dangerous. When you look in television, for example, at people, you can see all the time, you can see that people crying all the time about the hostages. Say, oh no, it's not possible. Let's release everybody for them and so on. So this, of course, is not acceptable. You cannot survive in this place. And believe me, what's going to happen is that all the wolves around us feel that. They feel the blood. Now, it's only a question of time until they can do what they really want to do.
Right.
You cannot survive like that. It's something that we need to be changed. Otherwise, we cannot survive here.
Okay, I have a question about your model. So if I'm understanding you correctly, you don't think that Aaron Barak and Bibi Netanyahu are really opposed to each other.
Right.
However, what we hear in the news, when we watch the news and we learn about what's happening in Israel and so forth, what we see is the Prime Minister saying that there are things he would like to do, but that Aaron Barak won't let him do that. And it looks like they are opposed, and the people on the streets seem like, there's a lot of people supporting what Netanyahu says that he wants to do to limit the power of the court, and then there are many people who are on the other side saying that any move by Netanyahu to limit the power of the court would be the destruction of Israeli democracy or something like that. And so it seems that there is a very strong opposition. Are you saying this is all theater?
Well, it's more complicated. The truth is always not black and white, okay? Now, it's really, first of all, it's like a show for the people. This animosity, it's not really real, okay, between Netanyahu and Aaron Barak. They're pretending. Pretending, yeah. And also at the same time, they're enjoying that. Because when you make these two blocks, fight each other, then the groups themselves become much more violent against each other, and then nobody thinks about what's going on.
But why would Netanyahu and Barak want people fighting each other inside Israel? Why do they want that?
This is a great question. I think this is somehow connected to their personalities. They are not Churchill. Okay, let's say Churchill, for example, was a great leader which really cared about his people. But there are some, let's say, cynical people. Many of them can get up to very high posts because of their cynicism. I won't say anymore. And because of that, they really don't really care. They care more about their stature, and about their future personally, yeah. Maybe some of them believe that are like gods now. So Aaron Barak thinks, well, I'm like a god. I'm just better than you.
Okay, but
I would decide it for you, okay? And then it's like he feels like immortal or something.
Because he has so much power.
Yeah, that's right. There are some people, very dangerous people, because of that. This is exactly what I'm saying.
Okay, now, but the thing I don't understand is if these people are addicted to power, right, which is the model I'm hearing, how does it help Netanyahu have more power that Aaron Barak becomes the all-powerful Supreme Court judge who can tell Netanyahu what he can and cannot do? How does that help Netanyahu?
Well, let's say that Benjamin Netanyahu is a person who sells everything.
Sells?
Sells, yeah. You sell everything. Everything. You just look. You can see that over and over again. So if he sees some very powerful side against him, well, he start to negotiate and sell them things. For example, Benjamin Netanyahu signed an agreement with the Supreme Court. It's unbelievable. This is only one in the world, Israel. In Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu has an agreement, written agreement with the Supreme Court that forbids him from touching the Supreme Court. In Israel, it's unbelievable. Yeah, you never heard about that.
No.
Yeah, nobody talks about the important things. Now, Benjamin Netanyahu cannot touch the Supreme Court by an agreement, written agreement. Have you ever heard about a country which the Supreme Court has a contract, written contract with the Prime Minister, which make them exterritorial? Have you ever heard about that?
Never, because the idea of democracy is that the separation of powers means that each power has its own sphere.
Perfect.
And they can't be negotiating their powers. That's supposed to be set in the Constitution.
It needs someone from outside, very intelligent person from outside to understand and say what you said. But in Israel, everybody are captured in those two blocks and fighting each other all the time. This is why if you fight all the time, you cannot see what's going on,
Going on internally.
Yeah. You cannot understand anything. So all the Israel professor, we have a lot of genius people, and they cannot understand that because they are part of the left and right that fighting all the time. Okay. This is what these people gain from this fight. When you are fighting, you don't understand anything. You don't have you cannot really, let's say, evaluate the situation.
So you would interpret the fight between, the apparent fight between Aaron Barak and Benjamin Netanyahu as a distraction, so that ordinary Israelis don't understand what the government is doing?
This is part of the picture, not all the picture, because we have to understand that in the beginning, Aaron Barak and the Supreme Court really wanted to attack the post of the prime minister in order to take sovereignty, okay, over Israel. Now they in order
to become the sovereign, right?
The sovereign. That's right. That's right. And they succeeded in that because also we signed an agreement with them. Yeah, but still, they didn't understand that they are dealing with a super intelligent person. Benjamin Netanyahu is a real genius. I'm not laughing at all. He's something really special. He's like a great grandmaster in chess. Okay,
I see.
You cannot really.
You can't outwit him.
No, it's not possible. He can outwit anybody, even the legal system. Now, what happens that they think that they are ruling over him?
Who, the Supreme Court?
The Supreme Court, really. All the legal system. They are really the sovereigns here. They think they are sovereigns. But it's not exactly right because Benjamin Netanyahu is using its post, okay, and this kind of like a fight against them, this power, it's like balance of power like that. Okay. And then he can maneuver Israel to anywhere he wants. Now, now he is doing this very intelligently.
But do you think he's doing it in agreement with Barak? So they're agreed to
part of it. For example, you can see that this very strange resolution that Israel accept the sovereignty of the International Court in The Hague. Okay, in The Hague. Okay. So this international court, this was something that in the past nobody in Israel would agree to that. This was a very unbelievable resolution. But still, Benjamin Netanyahu took it and he appointed who? Aaron Barak to be a judge in the international.
Wow, that's kind of revealing, isn't it?
Yeah. So these two persons, these two big people, big persons, but I would say that they have this personality which I wouldn't like to talk much about, but they are really cooperate with each other. They are very super intelligent. They are two geniuses, by the way.
So they're
even Aaron Barak is genius.
They're fooling all of us. Is your
yeah. This what happens, and they even fooling the supreme judges themselves because even the supreme judges themselves are normal persons that they might be Zionists and everything, but still they are part of a machine. Like this group of the Supreme Court are people that has this DNA. So if you are in a car which can go only that way, and you're driving it, well, you go that way. The Supreme Court would always go to this idea of losing the demographic balance, and letting Arabs enter, and all the rights of the Arab, in Gaza and blah blah blah. You understand?
So if you had to say in just a couple of sentences what you believe is the final goal of this theater between Aaron Barak and Benjamin Netanyahu, where are they taking the country? What are they trying to do?
I think that Aaron Barak built the let's say the form, the mold. Yeah, the mold is like Israel is like not a Zionist country anymore, and Benjamin Netanyahu is fulfilling this idea. Okay, he is like acting in accordance with that. It has doesn't have any problems. I can tell you, for example, that in 2010 I was the advocate for fighting against there was in Israel Supreme Court there was kind of an appeal that tries to abolish law in Israel that didn't let Arabs coming into Israel and unify their families. And I was the lawyer that represented some groups there, with against those appeals, those petitions. And it was again before 11 judges. In the end, we succeeded to win somehow 6-5 and just block this situation. And if it wouldn't have been passed, then we would have like hundreds of thousands of Palestinians would come and enter Israel. Now I can tell you that at that time, the prime minister was Benjamin Netanyahu. And we have tried to talk with him and appeal to him and everything. He didn't want to do anything. He didn't really care about the possibility, the appalling possibility that hundreds of thousands of Palestinians would come into Israel. You have to understand. At that time, I didn't understand it, but now I understand. This was a part of this cooperation. Well, he really let Aaron Barak do his thing. And he got like being prime minister for life for that. Why? Because prime minister for life. Because you have the Netanyahu case, yeah, right? And this trial, Netanyahu trial, is really something which is not meant to finish any time.
Okay, but for our viewers, so that they understand what we're talking about. So there have been some accusations against the prime minister. Right, he is accused of, what is it?
Well, believe me, nonsense. Like getting some nonsense. Okay, really.
So frivolous. These are frivolous accusations.
Yeah, really. But still, they brought like 330 witnesses, 300 for bullshit things, right? And he needs to bring like hundreds of. And 5 years ago, I've said in interviews that this trial is not meant to finish ever. All the idea of this trial is to hold the post of the prime minister, like in a power balance, okay?
I see.
Balance power, and this is what they got. They got this agreement with him, which he cannot touch them, and now he's also let's say profiting from that because if he is persecuted by the legal system, now he is regarded as like how would you say for like he's like hostage or something for the Israeli right. Now, Israeli right cannot not vote for him now. He's hostage in the hands of the left. So all this Netanyahu trial just distorting all the political system in Israel. And this is why you cannot get rid of Netanyahu. And he can take you whatever he likes because always the right would vote for him, okay? So he will change there in power, and this is why he's profiting for that as well.
Okay, so tell me if I'm understanding your position. It sounds to me like your model of Israeli politics is saying that, well, there are a lot of people on the right who are disappointed with Netanyahu's performance, who believe that Netanyahu has not delivered on his promises, and is not behaving like the Israeli patriot that they would like him to be. But the impression they get is that Netanyahu's disappointing behavior is a consequence of the lawsuits against him and the criminal accusations against him, plus the activity of the Supreme Court, which is limiting him and making it impossible for him to move. So would this be a fair description of your model?
Not all, but really it's quite right what you're saying. But I would say another thing, very important to understand something.
Okay.
If you are from the right, you always are not really voting for the right. You are voting against the left. And you're from the left, you're voting against the right. Now, it's not possible not to vote for Netanyahu. Not possible. If I'm going, for example, if I vote for Ben Gvir, okay, Ben Gvir is Netanyahu. Because Ben Gvir cannot go with the left, okay?
Right.
It doesn't matter which person in the right you choose, you always choose Netanyahu. Because
so what can be done for people who would like to have a different leadership on the right?
Nothing can be done. This is the truth.
We're
I'm telling
doomed?
you, no.
Israel is doomed?
Unless people cannot understand reality because of this fight between the blocks. This is what makes this let's say smoke screen. So you cannot understand anything.
But
so because of that, you cannot really fight it. It's not possible.
So you need people to understand it, right? That would be
but even though I explained it many times, people, if you're from the right, after 5 minutes you will forget what I say because you cannot live with this notion. Because what I'm saying exactly, what should I do? Every person has to choose his own group. Okay. Now, if you're from the right, so you need to think like people from the right. So not just so. So what I'm saying is just like for intellectual.
You have to be a good member of your tribe.
Yeah. That's humankind. It's not possible other way in any other way. So we can have this intellectual interviews and everything, but we really cannot through that have any impact. Impact can be sustained only through power. Only through power. Only if people make groups and take over the Likud party and fight Netanyahu, and then they can change it. But it's not possible to do anything like that from
until
just
they
talking.
Understand it, right?
But people would not understand because they don't want to understand.
Okay, but
this
tell me,
is the idea. Exactly.
Right, but,
this is like a perpetuum mobile. I understand what I mean.
Okay, but what would be, in your opinion, the smoking gun, the piece of evidence that, in your opinion, should demonstrate to any reasonable Israeli that Aaron Barak and Bibi Netanyahu are working together to produce this controversy that has divided the country? What would be the piece of evidence that should be convincing?
I don't think this question is the right question.
No?
Because there's no such a gun.
There's no such
Even
gun.
if they take, if we have like a film together and they tell you that, still it wouldn't change anything.
I see.
People decide and look at the reality not through trying to understand reality, but through their groups and what the groups says. Because this is like Democrats and Republicans in the United States. You'll see that all the times they are arguing about all the things. How is it possible? If you're from the left, all the ideas are the same, like all the left and the right. All the ideas are the same to the right. Only in situations when you are just standing on the brink of, I don't know, for extermination maybe. Maybe, I'm not sure by the way, it can be changed, okay? It can be changed. But the only way to change ideas is through power. Only power changes ideas. And as for example, the atomic bomb in Hiroshima changes the ideas of the Japanese in 2 seconds, yeah? You need it the same in any country. So if you get some, I don't know, Churchill coming now and say, well, Netanyahu is not good, and then he's very charismatic and everybody chooses them, and so it would change.
I see.
But
you think it's possible that a leader could emerge in Israel and bring people around him to challenge Netanyahu? That is at least possible.
Well, Netanyahu is like 75 years old. And
but maybe Israel cannot afford for him to get too old. I mean, it's a dangerous situation now.
You understand it so well, I must say. I'm very happy to speak with someone who can understand so well.
Well, I'm only asking you questions.
Yeah, but still,
you're the one who understands it.
Yeah, but I see through your questions you understand it so well. So it's not possible for me to speak with an Israeli who would understand it like you do.
Right.
So it's possible, I'm saying, but the situation is deteriorating from moment to moment.
Yes, very quickly.
And very, very quickly. So I think that what's happening now is that all our enemies around us feel the blood. They feel that they're very weak. I don't know.
They smell blood.
They smell blood, and I can see that the actions of our leaders are not really forthcoming. This. Well,
they're not pro-Israel.
No, I'm not saying pro-Israel. But for example, there are threats to Israel which are not being dealt with, okay?
I see.
So, and you don't do what you need to do, okay? The situation is very, very grim, very dangerous, and no one's doing anything about it. Tell me, how do you think it's possible that we have like one of the strongest armies, I think, on the planet, and still we cannot take over this tiny little strip that holds many people of your own and let them die there, let them being raped? Is it possible?
Insane.
It's insane, right? Now, any person in Israel do not understand that because it's like hypnotics. Well, nobody thinks about conquering the Gaza, no? Even Trump tell us, well, conquer Gaza. Okay, Trump need to say to us. And we called Trump to help us release these people that are just 4 kilometers from here. Do you understand that? This is impossible.
But I actually think it's worse than that because just a few weeks ago, Trump said that if all the hostages were not released by Saturday, then all hell would break loose, which in diplomatic speak, he's giving Netanyahu the green light to go ahead and conquer Gaza.
You're right.
And but Netanyahu didn't do it.
He really asking him for doing that. And Netanyahu wouldn't do that because Netanyahu from the beginning did not want to conquer Gaza, didn't want to really.
But why?
Oh, this is a great question. What I suggest you to do is always look at the actions of people.
Yeah, I agree with that.
This is the opposite. You see someone doing something, so this is what he's doing, you know. For example, it's very funny, but there is a girl, I don't know, we raped and killed, okay? Now as well, they see her corpse.
Right.
Well, this means that someone did it, right?
Of course.
There is a person capable of doing that.
Right.
Now, if you're thinking from the other side, well, it's not possible, there's no person can do such a thing. Why would the person who should do that?
It's too awful.
It's too awful. Nobody. But you are a normative person, so always look at what the person does, and ask the questions from there.
Right.
Now, I don't know what he's doing that, and of course that made many of the hostages being killed, okay? It's killed. But still he did it, and still is doing it now. Why? Well, that's a good question. This is something maybe connected to his personality, to his, I don't know. Okay, I don't want to say.
But we do need a model. Like, we need to have a good theory.
Yeah, but the problem is that we are normative people. 97% of the people are normative, okay? If you're using the right word.
I'm not sure what you mean.
Like being a normal person.
Normal person.
No, but there's a word for that. Being, I don't know if you have
mainstream
it in
English.
No, you have it in Hebrew. I don't know if you have it in correlation in English. It's being normative, it's called.
Okay.
But anyway, 98% of us, but 2% of us are not normative, okay? All this, many people has the ability to act in society not in according with its values and live with it. They may be bad people. I don't know. There are many people that are, making frauds. Frauds. Maybe they can kill someone.
Yeah. So normative. You mean moral people?
Yeah.
People who
stick
to the rules of society.
according to society. Yeah. Okay. I'm not saying. Because in Germany, Nazi Germany, every person could understand.
But Judaism and Jewish society do have an ethical center. So
yeah, but I'm speaking about this. I'm speaking about any group has its morals. Okay.
Okay.
Now, you don't know who is this person. He looks like, well, he has a name, Aaron Barak. But why would he? Why would he sacrifice all these people, right? But if you look at his actions, you see that is really making the situation that will kill Israel.
Okay, so I'd like to ask you a question, because in different kinds of spaces ever since the 7th of October, I have expressed the view that the behavior of Israeli bosses, which we have been discussing, is at least consistent, right? When you look at the behaviors, it's consistent with the hypothesis that they are being corrupted by foreign powers who wish to destroy Israel. You could say at least it's not inconsistent with that hypothesis. And in recent weeks, we have heard that there have been accusations here about Qatar paying people in the government to do stuff pro-Qatar. Now, Qatar is the country that attacked you on the 7th of October. They are the sugar daddies for Hamas, and they are the financiers of international and anti-Semitic jihadism.
Every person is right. Every word you said, but I'm not.
So if these accusations have merit, it seems like what I was saying is actually quite reasonable. That there's actually money coming from the people who want to destroy the Jewish state to change the behavior of the people running the Jewish state. That would be very serious.
But this I would say is a theory of a normal person. You say if you're a normal person, very intelligent normal person, you would think like that.
Okay.
You always think that corruption is connected with money or some kind of benefits, right?
Okay.
You didn't think about the option that people would do things because of other reasons.
For example?
Being God. Better than you, seeing you like an insect. I can do whatever.
But isn't Netanyahu a bigger god if Israel becomes a strong power? How is Netanyahu a bigger god if Israel is divided and destroyed?
Well, there was a person called Ariel Sharon. Remember him? I fought him a lot, because in the days of the security fence, I was the initiator of the security fence in the Gaza and Samaria. Yeah. So I fought against him a lot, and I didn't meet him, by the way. I met everybody, but not Ariel Sharon. But I can tell you that Ariel Sharon is like a mini Netanyahu. He decided sometime. He was a great leader for initiator for the right, entrepreneur, Okay. And then he decided to ruin all this Katif area,
Yes.
you know, in the south of Gaza. Yeah. And he made this.
So for our audience, just to make sure they're with us, so Ariel Sharon is the prime minister who did the Gaza disengagement, right?
Disengagement,
so
right, exactly.
He removed
Yeah.
the state of Israel from Gaza
Yeah.
and also sent the Israel Defense Forces to forcibly remove the Jews who lived in Gush Katif,
Right, exactly.
inside Gaza, because they didn't want to leave. So they were forcibly removed because the Arabs will not tolerate any Jews where they become
why
the
did
government.
he do that?
Why did Ariel Sharon do that?
I will tell you. That's very, very simple. But you need to understand that this is like values of not a regular person. He's like a Napoleon person.
A what?
Napoleon-like. Napoleon, yeah. He's like a great leader who changes the reality.
So are you saying he's a megalomaniac? Is that what you're
yeah,
saying?
Yeah, yeah. He can build great things, but he can build things. Now he had built really great things, Ariel Sharon, in his life, but then he wants to do something great again. Sometimes, even to ruin something is a great thing, right? To make a war, like Putin, for example. So many of those people are megalomaniac, exactly, and they want to put their mark on history
by doing something tremendous.
Yeah. Now, I think, well, in my money, I think that Benjamin Netanyahu is like a person like that, and he wants to, and he sees his history like putting his mark on history. He doesn't. Maybe he does. Maybe I'm not saying. Maybe he doesn't see himself really as a Jew or something, or maybe he sees himself like I don't know, cosmopolitan person. I don't know. He wants he likes to do great things. Now, even to ruin. Sorry to tell you that, but even to ruin it might be a great thing. Otherwise, it doesn't need to be connected with money or corruption. This also, it's possibility that people would act like that, and there are many people, sociopathic people, who do that. Now, I always do not look at the person, not give any marks. I'm looking at what he's doing. And if I'm checking Benjamin Netanyahu, you can see for many years. And I didn't like Netanyahu, but it wasn't against him. I was really against his trial, and I talked a lot for him, you know, in the television and everything. And also, I think his family really liked me. You know, I don't have anything personal against him.
Personal.
No,
right.
Nothing personal. I'm just checking everybody and what they're doing. I'm just fighting for my people, right?
Right.
Now, what I see is doing is totally illogical. Every move is to the wrong way, and I know that Benjamin Netanyahu is a super intelligent person.
So these can't be mistakes.
They're not mistakes. He understands better than anybody. I think the outcomes of what he's doing. So if I'm checking what he's doing and I see time again that he's doing maneuvers against the survival of the people, well, I ask this question. Now, this will be only intellectual interview, because no one can really grasp it, because they don't want to grasp it. You cannot change.
It's too painful.
No,
what?
you can. It's something that, well, if you're if you have this kind of belief about the world, you cannot accept things that contradict totally your basic belief of the world, because it can shake you. So you always try, even if you're from the left, you wouldn't believe me. Even if you're against Netanyahu, say, well, Netanyahu has problem with this trial, but wow, he's not a psychopath. No. Well, why not? Just look at what he's doing. Now, what I'm saying that because of this rivalry of the blocks, you can never. These people will never be revealed. They are always, be in the shadows. You wouldn't because you put your future in his hands. Look where he's taking you.
Ilan, we're going to have to close this interview, but I would like to make one final question and put you on the spot a little bit. Is there any leader in Israel that you believe in? Anyone that you might support to lead a change in the right direction?
A leader is made by being voted to. I mean, only if a person gets to a power position, you can really check.
No, fine.
Check on him.
But who in Israel would you like to have power? That's my question.
I would say that any person which is, first of all, really Zionist,
Yeah.
they're willing to do not accept this defeatism,
Right.
which must be much.
Somebody who wants to win.
Yeah, not win. I'm not speaking about win. There are things you cannot do. Okay, you cannot release terrorists, for example.
Okay.
You have always to pay the price.
Okay,
here.
so someone
now paying the price. I'm not speaking about bombing Gaza.
Right.
Bombing Gaza is not paying the price.
Right.
Bombing, conquering Gaza without destroying and giving these pictures all over the world and that weaken you.
Right.
You can do it. You have to pay the price. And of course, you have to remember that you are part of a world with values. You cannot go against the world, because if the world decides to eliminate you, you are dead. It's very, very simple, and we are not very far from it, because the world really cannot really stand us anymore, really, except Trump maybe. But the Western world, and of course there are other countries, really cannot stand the way Israel is acting. We are on the time bombing. I know they see that as bombing citizens and blah blah. You have to pay the price. Paying the price is conquer the place. Ruling, you have to rule the Palestinians. You cannot let the Palestinians go around and get their arms and fight you. It's not
kill
possible.
your civilians.
Because you'll be dead. That's very simple. Then you need to pay the price. There is no other way. You have to rule them.
So who, in your opinion, is that kind of person that if they had power in Israel, they would do this? Who is it?
I don't see. First of all, if surely there are people. They might not be in the political system now. Okay. They should come from the people, but still the problem is that no one speak like. Or no one saying the right things. What I'm saying, so I don't really know. So only a person like Churchill, this is the person I can say. I read all these books and everything. Churchill type. I don't know. First of all, we need to get rid of all the leadership of October the 7th. Prime Minister Netanyahu, after what happened in October 7th, cannot remain 2 minutes in his office. I mean, all you see the chief of staff and everybody now we're getting rid of them, but we need to. I mean, all this leadership, even
so all the people at the top.
Yeah,
right?
They have to go. They have to go, and you need new people which believes in paying the price. Okay, paying really the price.
But we don't know yet who these are.
No, I don't know. No.
Okay. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
This was a very interesting interview. I think really? I learned a lot.
I learned a lot. Thank you very much.
I want to thank our audience for joining us. Remember, this is a joint program between Mor and Arutz Tov. And those of you who are interested in finding our material on management of reality, you can go there by typing into your web browser managementofreality.com or franciscogilwhite.com. They'll take you to the same place. And we've got lots of material there about defending Israel and also about how to understand the geopolitical system and the history, the impact of the Jewish people on Western political history, which has been very positive. And once you understand that model, you get a better sense of why the fight going on in Israel right now is so important to all of us in the West. So thank you very much for joining us. Thank you again, Ilan.
Thank you.
And I hope we can have more conversations in the future.
Thank you.